Hi students, hope you are doing well, and today we are going to learn a topic on Introduction to Market Structure on the subject Economics for Executive Unit 3 Part 1. What is a market? Market is a place where buyer and seller meet. Goods and services are offered for the sale and transfer of ownership occurs. Components of a market. Who are the people who are involved in this transaction? We have a seller, we have a buyer, and in between them a product is being exchanged, and we should know about what is the nature of the product. The product may be a perishable or a non-perishable item. The fourth one comes is conditions of entry and exit, both related to the buyer and seller, because the seller can easily enter into the market. There is no restriction for him, and it is very easy for him to sell and buy goods to the customers, and that is what the open market we call it as. The fifth point is the negotiation, where the buyer is negotiating with the seller for a feasible price or a marginal price, and this price is being determined by the demand and supply of the current market rates. So there is no hidden charges, and everybody has been giving a proper and a very open way of like marketing, where the buyer can able to directly negotiate with the seller for a better price. The next one is the transfer of ownership. Once the buyer gives the money in return of getting a product from the seller, the transfer of ownership is being shifted from the seller to the buyer. If you're buying a car from the showroom, the car belongs to the showroom owner before you have purchased it. But after the purchase, it comes on your name. After the documentation, everything has been made. The ownership of the particular product belongs to the owner who purchased it. Next one is the transfer of money. In turn of the product, the seller is receiving the cash or the money or any kind of transaction regarding to it. So a product is being exchanged from the seller to the buyer. So the seller is getting the money and the buyer is getting the product, and there is an exchange of a kind of like placement has been created to the product, and the transfer of ownership is being done with a very proper negotiation of price. The next slide talks about the market structure based on competition. The market structure is classified into two competition wise bases. The first one is perfect competition, the second one is imperfect competition. We are going to see about all those. And the imperfect competition again is being classified into four types: monopoly, duopoly, oligopoly, and monopolistic competition. So the perfect competition market is the market structure in which all firms in an industry are price takers, and in which there is a freedom of entry into and exit from the industry is called perfect competition. So here everybody is like the price is open for the buyers, and there is no hidden charges, and all those who are doing the business are having a homogeneous product. Product is something like the same product they are selling. For example, if you are getting into a marketplace, the vegetable marketplace, there are a lot of onion vendors or tomato or potato vendors, and all these prices won't vary much. There will be a difference of 2 or 3 rupees, but it won't vary much. It is a large market. Cheap and efficient transportation has been made. Perfect information availability has been there. It is open market, so you can able to know about the price, and every day the price will be updated, just like the petrol price. The price of the vegetables and other kind of things will be updated, so it is open way of communication. Less government restriction, because these are the basic items where the buyer used to buy. We call it as a necessity, so a lot of restrictions won't be falling on it. Freedom of entry and exit, because anybody can start a business and there is no restriction from the existed business players, so you can just get into the market, and there is and the market is open for everybody, and anybody can go and start a business like that. Examples of perfect competition is the agricultural market, the free software, and street food vendors. So everybody having the shops nearby, you can able to see like the vegetable vendors will have near shops selling the same kind of product, but with the proper margin, and the price is being open to the buyers. There is no hidden charges at all. Imperfect competition is just opposite to that. There are barriers to entry, and what are the barriers? The first one is the facility barriers, where there are a lot of like facilities which comes in, the capital, the working capitals, the investments, the investors, and the government restrictions, and much more, where it is very hard for a newcomer to enter into the market. The equipment, buying a large number of machinery and importing equipments cost a lot of like investments, where a newcomer has to face a lot of difficulties into it. The third one is the licensing from the government. Getting a license by fulfilling all the norms and the rules and the regulations makes a lot of like tough competitions. An expertized kind of like product delivery or marketing or advertisement is much needed, because if you can't able to compete with the established business players, then definitely we are going to fail into the market. And the main point here is startup cost. The expense that a firm must pay before it can start to produce and sell goods. There's a huge number of investment that has to be made, because where there is no perfect market, again there is no open market, again there is no a kind of like transparency which has been prevailing there. And the different types of like imperfect competition markets, where monopolistic competition, oligopoly, oligosony, then monopoly, we have a monopsony, then duopoly, the last one is duopsony. Monopoly. What is a monopoly market? A true monopoly exists if one and only firm produces and sells a particular commodity in the market. The single firm producing the product is itself both firm and the industry. Example, airlines, energy grid, local bus routes, operating systems, rail network. These are monopoly and nobody can able to take it, because these are run by the government and it's a big concerns, and that how the monopoly is been existing, where only one pair can able to give the service to the population, and there is no competition as far as concerned. The next thing is like monopolistic competitive market. Here, like only one firm sells the commodity, having no rivals or direct competition, and they are the price makers. And indirect rivalry may exist in the form of existence or substitute products. No other seller can enter into the market, else monopoly would cease to exist. The product is distinct, inelastic in demand. And here, a large number of buyers and sellers are coming into the market. We call it as monopolistic competition, and no limitation of entry and exit. Firms produce differentiate products. Market power depends on the demand curve of the individual firm. Again, the price is being fixed by the firm itself. It's just like when Ambassador car was there, maybe 5 decades back. Like obviously the price which has been determined by the company itself. So there is a booking of almost 6 months to 1 year, where people are waiting for a car, and whatever you are asking, they are going to give what they have. You ask for different color, but only white will be available, and you have to get for it, because there is no other go, because it's a monopoly market. Even when Nokia was there in the scenario, in the market scenario, where Samsung was an entrant into the market, Nokia grabbed around 80% of the market share. But still, like when the newcomer came in, and there is a kind of like smartphone introduction with Android, then the Nokia had a fall with that. But before that, it was a monopoly in the market. Examples of monopolistic competitions are shoe repairs and key makers, and taxi and minibuses companies, sandwich bars and coffee stores, hairdressing salons, dry cleaners and laundries, bars and nightclubs are having like a monopolistic competition, where every single entity is giving a different kind set of services, where other people is very hard to imitate. And these are the companies which are still prevailing in the market, like Kellogg's, PepsiCo, Nestle, Coca-Cola, Unilever, and Mars, and Associate of British Foods, etc. Duopoly. If there are two sellers, then duopoly exists. The real world example of duopolies are airlines like SpiceJet or Indigo, something like that. We have AMD Athlon or Intel processors. We have Master and Visa. Only two people are there, and now the RuPay came into existence by the government of India, and we have three players now. And Mooms and Standards and Poors and BSNL and MTNL and Geo and Airtel is having a very great competition. Likewise, we have a duopoly kind of market. Oligopoly, if there is a competition among few sellers, oligopoly is said to exist. For example, we have soft drinks, we have airlines, we have food oil, and we have kind of banks. All these are oligopoly. And what is monopsony? If there is only one buyer and the market is set to exit, it is slightly upside down of monopoly. Monopoly is like one seller and multiple buyers, and here it is one buyer and multiple sellers. How it can be possible? For example, National Health Service, it is recruiting lot of like people into them. So they are one buyer, so they are buying people, and many people are applying into it. Just like armed forces, yearly how many people are recruiting in armed forces? Big sourcing business such as Capitia and G4S and local council, local authorities like TNPC exams and railway exams, much more. These are the examples of monopsony. Duopsony, if there are two buyers, then it is said to exist. For example, Swiggy and Zomato. Wherever you want to like place your orders, these are the two places which is available now. So they are the buyers. Where what they will do, they will buy your leads, they will buy your orders, and then they will serve you. And only with these two people you can able to order, and there is no third player which has been prevailing in the market now. As far as concerned, Amazon vs Flipkart, Uber and Ola. There are much more examples I can say with. Oligopsony. If there are few buyers, oligopsony is said to exist. For example, lot of agricultural people, agricultural farmers are there, but only few powerful buyers are buying the products. For example, Reliance Supermarket, for example, Big Bazaar, for example, D-Mart, for example, Central, for example, other kind of like networks where they used to buy and they used to sell as a retail way. So the farmers are plenty, but the buyers are very few. So only few buyers are existing. So that is the best example for oligopsony. And now we are going to summarize all those what we have learned now. We have seen monopoly, that means single seller, large buyers. Example, Indian Railways or DRTO. Duopoly, two sellers, large buyers, soft drink, Pepsi and Coke. Oligopoly, few sellers, large buyers, LPG gas, cement market, pizza market, all those. Monopsony, reverse of those, single seller and single buyer, government contractors, and all those comes into the picture. Then we have large sellers and only two buyers are there. Petrol like companies like SAPL and BPCL. And oligopsony, large sellers but few buyers. International Airways, we have large sellers but only few buyers. If you want to travel to abroad, definitely you have to pick those airlines which can lead you there. So we have a plenty of opportunities, but only few people are like running the show here. So that is what actually we have seen today. These are the types of market, these are the types of sellers and buyers, and the examples what we have seen today. And the next class we are going to see about price distribution, and hope I'll meet you soon. Thank you.